To start, let me introduce our speakers. So we have Russ Martin. So he is the overseas digital strategist for Crew in the Asia Pacific region and is based in Singapore. So globally, Crew exposes 220 million plus people to the gospel each year with the digital. So in 2013, Russ helped envision and was a part of the founding team of the Indigitous network. So Ross is married to Meredith and have 3 young children. Simon, CEO, is a great creative catalyst and communicator who cares about bringing the unchanging gospel to the changing generation. So he is married and the shepherd of 3 teenagers. A co-founder of Indigitous, serves also as a senior digital strategist for the Global Crew movement. So without further ado, let's welcome Simon and Ross.
Hi there, everybody. It's so good to be with you all. So I'm going to share my screen and then we'll get going from there. Okay. Well, we're so glad that you chose to be part of this session. We understand it'll be recorded, so there may be others watching it later on. And we are glad that you are watching it as well. The topic of this talk is connecting to the heart of our digital generation. And we hope to cover a few things that I hope will add some value to you as you figure out what does it mean really to connect in our digital world. So you already got to know us a little bit. We'll save the time and you can get to know us in the networking later on. But we're both based in Singapore and we enjoy serving God and really bringing the unchanging gospel to our changing world. So I want to start out with this piece here to say, we recognize that you have chosen to be part of this, whether you are attending it live or you're watching it, that you have a vision. And you're here because you have the vision, right, of seeing something happen. And our labor in the Lord always has a clear vision. And I would imagine for you, your vision is really to bring the unchanging gospel, as we said, right, to our changing world. And it could look like this. And we sometimes say, like in the digital world, imagine like in the Revelations vision, what it would be if it's every tongue, tribe, and touch screen coming before our God. And we know that in these dark times and in our dark world, we know that only Jesus saves. So this is kind of our driving passion, especially for Russ and I. Yeah, and I'm reminded in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22, Paul says that to the weak I become weak. To win the weak, I have become all things to all people that by all means I may save some. So I'm going to share with you very quickly some examples of how we have seen people innovate and as it were, they help win the weak by becoming all things to all people. So the first one, as you know, TikTok, super popular now. This guy on TikTok has 442,000 followers. What does he do? He reads scripture daily. That's all he does. Maybe he got a little bit of cool lights at the back, right? But he just says a word of encouragement, reads from God's word. It makes me ask, what makes it work? Why do people respond to efforts like these? More importantly, what other ideas come to mind for you? I want to encourage you to think about that because sometimes we think this is a little bit frivolous. Oh, and it's only 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. But for some of his followers, this may be the only church they would encounter or experience. How about this? Facebook, very popular in Asia. Many parts of our world are engaged in this. But here, I love it, when ordinary people dream up extraordinary ideas with platforms that are already there, right? So you can see on the screen, these are moms wanting to connect with other moms. And by the way, they are not started by millennials. They are by what you might be considered as digital immigrants. But they are driven by a passion to say, how can I connect with someone that's outside my typical circle? I'm sure there are other moms that need to know Jesus. And we hear stories and story time again of how people get impacted because of connections like this. But here is where they met them where they are. So in many ways, missions is alive and well. This happened during the lockdown, right? And the mom who led this, one of the strategies I happen to know, said that this is like digital missions in our backyard, in our neighborhood. And it's so cool to hear that, right? See, Christianity is fundamentally a communications event. Shane Hipp says that. And God uses a large variety of media to accomplish that revelation. Now, we don't have time to discuss that, but I think if you think in the Old Testament, you realize that God uses all kinds of media, right, to connect with people. Donkeys, stone tablets, rain, wind, prophets, angels, mighty voices, still whispers, burning bushes, and much more, right? Basically, it shows God really wants to communicate with us. Yet our world is continuing to evolve and change. And I just want to briefly highlight two things for us to consider because this helps frame how we connect with our digital generation. One is this idea of a culture of distraction. And here it's not just people wasting time, although that's happening, but it's people distracting themselves so much so that they ignore the questions of life, right? And then the growth of secularism. Okay, we all are familiar with this idea, but the distinction here is that it's not that there is no beliefs. On the contrary, is the multitude of beliefs. In other words, it's an age where all beliefs are viable or real. So then basically your faith becomes like a flavor of an ice cream or your favorite sports team, and then choosing God becomes like that. It's just one of the choices for human fullness or satisfaction. Can you imagine that, how that becomes a problem for us, right? So Alan Noble in his book, which I got this 2 points here, sums it up well. Distraction and secularism have shaped the way modern people tend to find or create meaning in their lives. So long as we're moving to the next thing, we feel as if our life have some direction and therefore meaning. So now the important question. So how then do we communicate this life-changing message of Jesus to our world? So I want to just offer this as a frame, and as you wrestle with this, Russ is going to pick up from here and share with us.
Well, good afternoon and great to be with you. And the reality is, as we think about how do we communicate this life-changing message, that many Christians actually feel powerless to help people know Jesus. And I know I feel like this many times in my life. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to share. I'm confused. Maybe I'm embarrassed. Maybe I'm ashamed. And what we see as an opportunity in Indigitous is that Indigitous wants to equip you with powerful digital solutions so that you can confidently tell others about Jesus and catalyze the spread of the gospel to where it's not. And we believe that there are many places and spaces where Jesus is not yet known, and that ordinary believers, just like me and you, can be the ones to bring Jesus into those places and spaces. But yet with a continent and an area as large as Asia, there are so many variances based on geography, based on culture, based on language, that there's no one size fits all solution for how we as believers can be equipped to confidently tell others. And that's why, as part of the Indigitous community, we're set on creating the next generation of tools and experiences for people so that they can confidently share this message of Jesus. And in October, we ran a hackathon in 141 cities in 30 countries, over 1,000 people working on 90 projects, because these are the people, these are the creatives, these are the next generation leaders that know what it takes to bring Jesus into the places and spaces context. And so from these 90 projects, we chose 6 winners. And the 6 of the projects included chatbots to help answer people's questions about Jesus, a platform to help people find jobs in this downturn economy, ways to study the Bible more easily, ways to moderate the screen time and that culture of distraction in your life, and even some innovative ways to bring the gospel to the Rohingya people in Myanmar. And so it's really our collaborative community then of people, of creatives, of developers, of designers, of coders all around the world that are creating the relevant and contextualized tools for us to use in bringing the gospel to the next generation. And we believe that every Christian can be a digital missionary. We believe that every Christian is called to be a digital missionary. And that if you have a phone, you can share your faith. If you have a phone, you can share your faith. And so let me just, in the last few minutes that we have, talk really practically about what does it look like to live out this idea of being a digital missionary in your sphere of influence, to bring the love and the hope and the redemption of Jesus Christ to the people that you're interacting with online and offline every day in your life. And so the first thing I want to encourage us with is that we can pray. Recently, I've been really convicted and encouraged at the same time that everybody can pray for somebody. Everybody can pray for somebody. Think of 5 people that don't yet follow Jesus who are in your life. Who else has the privilege and the responsibility and the opportunity to be bringing these people before our Heavenly Father, beseeching and pleading with the Father on their behalf? Look at your address book on your device. Look on your social feed on your device. Look at the chat history on WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever your favorite chat platform is. Those spaces each provide clues to the people that are in our lives and the needs of those people and how we can be bringing those people to the Father, asking God to intervene in their lives and reveal himself to them. And so I think the access we have to digital technology accelerates our prayers. And I've been trying to do this personally each week, rising early one morning, bring my address book and social feed and chat history before the Lord, asking him to show up in the lives of the people I'm engaged with in those spaces. My next point is be prepared, be intentional. Be prepared, be intentional. I love some of the apps that are out there, apps like Mission Hub, apps like Yes He Is. These are apps that help you take really specific steps with people in their spiritual journey. And Simon, if you can just go to the next slide. This is a screenshot from the Mission Hub app where if you tell Mission Hub about one of your friends, Mission Hub will actually intelligently suggest to you steps that you can take to relate, pray, care, and share for people. And I realized recently that for some of the people that non-believers in my life, that I actually, even though I'm in professional ministry, I was struggling to know what should I be praying for these non-believing friends in my life. And so all I had to do was go to Mission Hub, look up the person's name, and Mission Hub would actually give me a scripture and a thought for how I can pray for people. The Yes He Is app is very similar. And then practical ideas of in my everyday online and offline interactions with this person, how I might be trusting God to bring salt and light into those conversations. And there are tons of apps out there. We've had a few highlighted today during the conference. There's a few on the slide here. You can download these apps. You can have simple, easy to use gospel presentations, compelling content, in multiple languages, all in your pocket, ready to share with anyone the hope that is within you. So be prepared and be intentional. Next, missions has always been about going where people are. And for years and years and years, missionaries have done this. They have gone where people are, whether that's in a jungle, whether that's boarding a ship, and packing your coffin with you to go to an unknown place. Missionaries go where people are. And today, people are online. And when people have a question, what do? Well, they go to Google and they search. And so often people are searching for hope. They're searching the answers to how to fix their broken relationships, how to fix their poor financial situations, how to get hope in their marriages, how to parent their children more effectively. There are real world practical problems, how to deal with a boss that they don't like or don't understand, that people are wrestling with. And throughout this COVID season, in some of the work that Simon and I are involved in, we've actually seen a really big spike in the number of people searching for hope online, and the number of people that have reached out to us on various platforms and websites and digital experiences saying, I want to need to talk to someone about what's going on in my life because I need hope. And so my encouragement to us as Christians that are involved in churches and part of fellowships and engaged in the workplace is, how are we bringing Jesus into the places and spaces where people are at and meeting their needs? And are we thinking intentionally about showing up in those places to offer hope? I love this next quote that came across one of my feeds this week. It was from a friend who has signed up to be part of a ministry called the Mentor Center. You can go to tmm.io if you want to sign up to be a mentor. But this is where some of these people that are searching for hope online reach out and they say, I want and need someone to talk to. And my friend was on the receiving end of that message. And he just said, I have had several interactions with Cruff this past week. He's got serious life challenges. He's very discouraged, but I was able to pray for him. And now he's very much encouraged. He's curious with no faith background. Pray that I can explain the gospel clearly to him. And so I believe that in any given population, there's around 2 to 3% of the people that if they could just hear a clear presentation of the gospel, if they just had someone to guide them and someone to talk to and someone to pray with them, they would be open and ready and willing to respond to the gospel of Jesus. And then if you're involved in a formal ministry setting, sorry, Simon, I'm just one slide ahead of myself. Let's go back one. 26, please, the next one. Here's another example this week where I came across a great video from our friends at Yes He Is, and I was able to just easily, in 2 seconds, share that to my Facebook page, because I want to be making sure that for all the silly ways and fun ways that I'm involved in social media and connecting with people from all around the world, friends and family, to think about what would it look like if 1 out of every 20 posts that I make is helping others know and experience the hope that Jesus offers. And so I know we're almost out of time here, so let me just skip ahead one, Simon, to the last point, one more, which is, whoops, I think we missed one somehow, that behind every screen is a person. And at the heart of digital is a human experience. Every number has a name. Every name has a story. Every story matters to God. And each of us can be involved in praying for others, being ready with apps and experiences on our website to go where people are and bring the unchanging message of the gospel to a changing generation. So thanks so much. We hope that Indigitous can help you, and just feel free to connect with us at ndgt.us/connecting. You can access all our slides.
Thank you so much, Simon and Russ, for sharing. One of my takeaway for this session is to be prepared and be intentional. We are all called to be digital missionaries. So yeah, thank you so much for that encouragement. I believe everyone is challenged and encouraged with your testimony or your talk today. Okay, so our next is we have a Q&A, so we have 5 minutes to do that. So please write down your questions in the chat box, and we will just read one or two or three for Simon or Ross to answer. Thank you. Or maybe you can join in the video because this has 20 capacity, so we are 16. We can do that and just share your question directly. Santi, so how to encourage members on social media to be active in responding to of the gospel?
Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, great question. I think the place I always start with this is kind of that mantra: if you have a phone, you can share your faith. If you can send a chat message, you can share your faith. And it doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be intimidating. I think what I shared in one of the slides there was just a simple gospel-themed video about mental health that I posted on my Facebook page this week. That's an act of preaching and proclaiming the gospel. And so a simple step like that is often really challenging for the people in our churches, in our fellowships, in our Bible studies, because it means that they're identifying as a Christian and they're sort of putting themselves out there, and it can actually be really scary. And so my encouragement is to start with an action of sharing and use that as a way to begin to share with those around you. Share a video.
I'll add one thing here. I think, a lot about asking good questions, showing that we are curious about, people's lives. I often try to ask, even recently I was giving somebody a ride on kind of Grab sharing, Grab Hitch. Some of you know that in this part of the world. I would ask that person, say, how has COVID-19 impacted you? And just listen, let the person talk. A lot of times that shows that we are really keen about what's going on in their lives and not just wanting to tell them something, right? Because people are tired of being told, stuff, right? So they want to hear, and as they unpack, they might, kind of touch on a spiritual topic. And then that's your kind of opening to say, hey, would you mind if I share with you how I deal with that problem or that issue? If you go to the link that I put in the site, in the chat, you will find there is this resource called Conversation Starters, how to lead into spiritual topics. There are a lot of good questions there that really help you ask. Sometimes it's hard to turn the corner. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon and Ross. So we have another question here from D. So Simon, I love your TikTok example. So do you have any more examples to share? Would love to hear. So from faith comes by hearing. Could you tell me about raw Bible stories also?
Okay, so the Raw Bible app, I think that you're referring to, that was one of the top 6 projects. what they discovered was that because for the Rohingya people, there wasn't specific, contextualized an app that can be used by them. So it's not like the Bible language wasn't already translated. So they put it specifically in such a way that it will be used a very customized way, especially when they work in tandem with the local workers. So that is a specific Bible app. Other examples, well, I think the one that is very famous, popular, some of you know, Faith probably would, in Philippines, boiling waters. You may know this. They use memes as a way to connect about love and relationships. Some of you may not know that actually it's driven by a group of believers that really want to sow into the culture. But what they saw is a lot of people, writing to them personal messages to say, can you help me in my relationship? I want to have an abortion. I think I want to kill myself, and all kinds of issues are risen up or being brought to the surface as a result of, you can say, funny comedy, right? Or some light-hearted things, but actually touching in very deep issues. Yeah. So check out Boiling Waters Philippines. And you can see, most of it is in Taglish, but you can catch the idea. But the question is, what does this look like in your context? What could it look like in Bangladesh, or in India? What do people find funny, and what do people resonate with, and how do you connect there and bring up important life issues to discuss? Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. Russ, do you have any additional thoughts on that?
It's good.
All right. So for the last question, so how to be connecting heart to heart over people even through media, social media? Do you have any strategy to do it?
I think there's two parts to that. One, there's the personal aspect of that, which is for me and my activity in social media, what does that look like? And so I think for me, that means making 1%, 2%, 5%, 10% of my posts something that is going to seek to share my faith in some sort of way, not always overtly or like a really direct gospel presentation, but it could be a gospel themed article. It could be a spiritual conversation starter video, something like that. And then the other piece is in my personal ministry on social media is just reaching out to the people that I'm engaged with in my feeds and trying to have, asking the Spirit to give me spiritual eyes to see how he's working in their life and say, hey, I saw you posted this. It seems like you might be going through a hard time. I'm wondering if I could pray for you, or I'm wondering if you'd like someone to talk with you about that, and listening sort of for the music of the gospel one layer below the activity in the social feed. And often you'll feel that people are actually making bids for help. They're making bids for connection. And you can be the one that God uses in their life to be there in a moment of need for them. And that's a really great way then of hopefully being able to enter into some sort of deeper relationship with them. And then on the ministry side, as you're leading a church or a ministry, I think some of what Simon shared about what the team with Boiling Waters in the Philippines is doing, I think it's knowing your audience and trying to figure out what connects with their heart, and then what is the bridge that leads to the gospel in that, and how do I develop a content calendar and content that will connect with people there.
All right, thank you, Ross. So I think our time is up. So we will go now to our community building. So yeah, thank you everyone to those who posted their questions, and for Ross and Simon for their time. Yeah, so just click the networking icon, and then you will be paired up, just like in the first part of our program, randomly twice. And then once done with the networking, then let's go back to the stage. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.